Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really critical situation, the recent escalations between Iran and Israel.
That's right. And not just the direct conflict, but also how the big global players, the U.S., Russia, China, are reacting. It's complex.
Absolutely. Our aim here is to cut through the noise, give you the essential details fast, so you can really understand the global picture without getting, bogged down.
Exactly. It's about grasping how interconnected this all is. These aren't just regional headlines. They have real potential to affect global stability pretty quickly. It's crucial to stay informed.
Okay, let's dive in. Can you maybe set the timeline for us? What exactly kicked off this latest round?
Right. So the key date recently is June 12th. That's when Israel apparently launched what they're calling Operation Rising Lion.
Operation Rising Lion. And what does that involve? Is it just one specific thing or?
No, it's described as a coordinated campaign. Think Mossad, covert operations, drone strikes, but also conventional air raids.
Against what kinds of targets?
Key Iranian sites. Reports specifically mention nuclear facilities, which is obviously a major point, and also missile depots.
And the impact. Have we heard reports on casualties or damage?
Yes, and it's significant. Reports mention senior commanders in Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, being killed.
Wow.
Yeah, and overall casualties, potentially over 600 people, and that tragically includes civilians as well.
So a major Israeli operation. How did Iran respond? Was there a delay or?
No delay, really. Very swift. On June 13th, just the next day, Iran launched a massive counterattack.
Oh, massive.
We're talking over 150 ballistic missiles, plus around 100 drones aimed at Israel.
That's a huge barrage. And the result in Israel?
Reports indicate 22 deaths and many injuries from that attack, so very rapid, very dangerous tit for tat.
Definitely raises the stakes. Okay, so with this kind of direct exchange, where does the U.S. stand? What's Washington saying or doing?
Well, President Trump himself gave a pretty stark warning. He mentioned a, quote, chance of massive conflict.
Massive conflict. That's strong language. Are there signs the U.S. might get directly involved?
There are reports, yeah, that the U.S. is actually weighing direct strikes against Iran,
Hmm.
possibly even targeting nuclear sites, which would be a huge escalation.
And militarily, any moves on the ground or at sea?
Definitely. The USS Nimitz carrier strike group has been deployed to the region. That's a major show of force.
Right, the Nimitz.
And U.S. forces throughout the area are reportedly on heightened alert. You also see the tangible effects, like India starting to evacuate its citizens. People are taking this very seriously.
Okay, so the U.S. is posturing, warning. What about Russia? They have ties with Iran. How are they reacting to this, especially the potential for U.S. action?
Moscow's drawn a pretty clear line. They've issued a strong warning against the U.S. attacking Iran. They've labeled it dangerously destabilizing.
Hmm. But are they offering Iran military support, or is it just diplomatic?
It's nuanced. President Putin's actually said Iran hasn't asked for military help. Instead, Moscow is positioning itself as a potential mediator. They're offering to broker peace talks, apparently with some kind of plan trying to balance Iran's civilian nuclear program with Israel's security concerns.
Interesting, a mediation role. Does their recent treaty with Iran play into this?
Good point. They signed that comprehensive strategic partnership earlier this year, but it's important to note, reports clarify it doesn't actually commit Russia to militarily defending Iran. So it's more about influence and diplomacy than a hard alliance right now.
Right, okay. So that leaves China, another major player, often aligned with Russia and Iran on some global issues. What's Beijing's take?
China's response has been, well, quite cautious. They're calling for restraint on all sides, warning against escalating the violence.
Why cautious, do you think? They're sometimes grouped with Iran and Russia in that sort of axis of upheaval idea.
Exactly. They are part of that grouping, looking to, build a more multipolar world. But direct conflict isn't really in their interest.
Economic disruption.
Precisely. They prefer to expand their influence more subtly, often through economic means, working behind the scenes. A major war in the Middle East would be bad for business, bad for stability. So they're pushing diplomacy, urging calm.
Okay, so we have this incredibly tense regional situation, major powers like the US, Russia, China, all deeply involved, albeit in different ways. What are the immediate kind of global ripple effects we're seeing right now?
Well, the most obvious place to look is energy markets. Oil prices have started to edge up a bit.
Just edging up, not spiking yet.
Not spiking dramatically, no. Markets seem relatively calm for the moment, perhaps waiting to see what happens next. But there's a big but here.
Which is,
Experts are warning about the Strait of Hormuz. It's a critical choke point for oil shipments. if Iran were to disrupt traffic
And
there.
prices could really jump.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some analysts predict oil could soar past $100 a barrel if Hormuz is seriously threatened or closed. That would have major global economic consequences.
Right. So to sort of wrap this up, we've gone from covert strikes and massive missile barrages to great power diplomacy and warnings. It's incredibly volatile.
It really is. And it leaves you with some critical questions to think about as this unfolds.
Hmm.
Like, could a wider regional war actually ignite if the U.S. does decide to strike Iran directly?
Mm-hmm.
And this Russian mediation offer, is it a genuine path to de-escalation, or maybe just a tactic to delay something bigger while boosting Moscow's influence?
And China's role.
Yeah, what can Beijing really achieve diplomatically? Can they genuinely help pull things back from the brink? These are the key flashpoints, the things to keep watching.